I'm glad that you're all so happy to see each other. Lots of chatting and talking, some new faces, a lot of faces that I've known for a very long time. We're going to try to get started on time so that we can finish on time and you can get to wherever else you need to be today. My name's Jodi, and I'm the head of school, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Before we begin, can you please turn off your cell phones or anything else that gives you alerts? So I'm sure you noticed Mary over here playing music as we came in, or at least heard Mary playing music. She's a current senior. Thank you, Mary. We're really excited to be back in this room for the tea. Our last time we were able to do the tea inside the Student Center was February of 2020, and then about 3 weeks later we went on lockdown. And so we've done various things over the last few years, and this year we're trying something new as well. We're back here, but we're doing 2 teas. So this is the second tea that we've done today. We had one at 10 o'clock. And we typically do something separate for our staff so that they get all the good feelings and get to be a part of the tea. And this year we decided to integrate our staff into the 2 different teas. So you'll look around and you'll see a lot of people who work at Oak Grove, which is amazing. I want to welcome and thank our 6th grade hosts for getting us to our seats today. You can go ahead and take your seats. All right. So as we settle in, let's just spend a moment in silence. Thank you. Each year, we choose a school theme as a way to frame our ongoing inquiry into the intent of the school as shared by our founder. This year's theme is to listen with great care, attention, and affection. What does it mean to truly listen without judgment or without filtering what I am hearing through my own conditioning? Can we listen beyond words? How do we listen when there's so much input, not only from the world around us, but from our own minds, our own shoulds and supposed tos? Imagine a world where the quality of deep listening was commonplace in business, in politics, and with our families at home. Each of our speakers today have used the theme to listen with great care, attention, and affection to inform their speech and to share with you their relationship with Oak Grove. The first such speaker is Carter Davis, who's a senior and going to be our Emcee today. Welcome, Carter.
Hello, my name is Carter, and as Jodi shared with you, I'm a senior. I've gone to Oak Grove for 14 years now, and a lot has changed during my time here. I remember in preschool racing my classmates to the baby oak tree just over there, although nowadays it's not much of a baby. I look forward to seeing how large these oaks will have grown by the time I bring my children here. Please take a minute to look at the program in front of you. On the inside cover is today's program. Next is the menu. Everything today is gluten-free and vegan except for the egg dish. We're also highlighting 2 of our alums, Nico Huberman, class of 2004, and Lewis Hugh, class of 2019. Toward the back, you will find the financials from 2021 to 2022, our last academic year. You will notice the amount of financial aid we give here in yellow. Of course, after today, this portion will be much larger. Let me take this opportunity to thank our present board members. Oak Grove School Board members, please stand. Next, I would like to thank those who made this event possible. Our table captains, maintenance staff, and Oak Grove School chefs, Julia and Tabitha. I'm sure you noticed the beautiful decorations as you walked in today. I'd like to thank the Decorations Committee for all of their hard work in preparation for this event. Thank you to Maura Tarmy, Jennifer Moran, Nancy Opitz-Sims, and Brian Thornhill. This is a very important event for Oak Grove School. This 1 hour provides us with the financial means to progress our vision to the next level for the coming year. This year's theme is to listen with great care, attention, and affection. When I reflect on the theme, I realize how listening and being listened to have been so prevalent throughout my Oak Grove education. There is a huge emphasis on truly listening here. This is one of the defining ethos of an Oak Grove education. In 8th grade, I considered leaving Oak Grove for a more competitive sports program. However, after much thought, I realized that what Oak Grove has to offer is irreplaceable. Ultimately, what made me decide to stay at Oak Grove was the fact that the people here have a presence where they seem to deeply listen and to deeply care. The teachers listen to students, and the students listen to each other. This creates an environment where students feel heard, safe to express themselves, and safe to ask questions that don't always have simple answers. Personally, I've grown to listen beyond hearing, through nonverbal communication, context, and from a place within. I've learned to hear what people are saying even when they're not speaking at all. The theme of listening goes beyond just our interactions with others. It also applies to how we listen to ourselves. At Oak Grove, I've been encouraged to try new things and to step out of what feels comfortable. I've listened to that inner voice that has pushed me to take risks, to challenge myself, and to grow in unimaginable ways. I never thought I would have started a nonprofit in high school, folk danced in India, or climbed the chains of Angel's Landing in Zion. Yet this all stemmed from being able to trust those around me and my growing ability to listen to myself and to trust myself. As I prepare to graduate in the spring, I'm confident that Oak Grove has prepared me to leave the community as an independent, autonomous person ready for what's ahead. Now, we will take a few moments to serve you breakfast. My fellow senior class will be serving you. Thank you. Now, we are going to listen to some personal reflections on Oak Grove as it relates to this year's theme of listening. First, we will hear from my math teacher, Marie Samson. Sometimes I wish she didn't like math as much as she does. She gets excited assigning us homework problems, and it's hard for her to stop. Sometimes after assigning homework, she will say, "Oh, this one looks fun. Let's do this one as well." Welcome, Marie.
In Krishnamurti's words, we rarely listen to anybody. We are so full of our conclusions, experiences, problems, and judgments that we have no space in which to listen. To listen is possible only when you put aside your opinion, knowledge, problems, and conclusions. Then you are free to listen without interpreting, judging, or evaluating. For the last few weeks, I've spent many hours thinking about how I relate to this year's theme and this specific passage. What keeps coming to my mind is before we can genuinely listen to others, we have to listen to ourselves with great care, attention, and affection. Listening to ourselves with those hard qualities is an awareness that unfortunately many of us lose over time. This year's theme profoundly speaks to me because years ago, I painfully learned that the opposite creates negative effect on oneself. Like many others, I did not grow up with the awareness of cultural and societal conditioning. As a child, my favorite game was to play school. I was always the teacher, and my little brother and cousin were my students. Teaching had always been a passion for me, but my blindness to societal influences led me to believe that I wanted to become an engineer instead of a teacher. I remember thinking, well, I love learning and challenging myself in math and physics, and on top of that, engineering is a respected profession. I felt so proud of myself at each year Christmas family gathering, as my uncles were so impressed by my future title. The problem began when I started working in the field. I quickly realized that this work was not fulfilling me, and I tried really hard to ignore it. But fortunately, my heart was louder than my mind. After some needed inner work and a perfect sequence of multiple events, I found myself in Ojai teaching high school students. At this point of my life, it became essential for me to live in full integrity with myself. So as much as I love that in any school I get to create the environment that I want in my classroom, it became very important for me to work in a school where I fully relate to the mission and the philosophy. And this is how I found Oak Grove. By pure synchronicity, I met a multitude of Oak Grove alums that I found very interesting. They seemed to have a great confidence in themselves, a certain quality of presence, and a way to listen and speak that showed open-mindedness, acceptance, and care. How special. I researched the founder of this intriguing school that these people attended, went to Bart's book, and got my first Krishnamurti book, Education and the Significance of Life. This book was a revelation for me. It deeply spoke to me to the point that I had to pause after each sentence and take in the aha moment. I thought, this is it. This is the school where I belong. I met with Meredith Benson Rice, who was the head of the school at this time, and following the minimum requirement for their teacher's education, she kindly encouraged me to go back to school to get my master in education and to call her back when completed. So I did. I used this opportunity to deepen my interest and curiosity for holistic education and especially Krishnamurti's philosophy. I participated in the teacher education program at the KFA, and I wrote my final master project on Krishnamurti and the psychosocial perspective of a student as an adult. After receiving my MA in education, I called Meredith back, and here I am at my dream school. For me, listening with care, attention, and affection means to be present in the moment with yourself and others. It is to begin the day all together with an intention of connection. It is to start every gathering with a minute of silence. It is to be perceptive of body language and feeling the energy in mat class to know when it's time to stop and address something more important at this time, like discussing an immersion issue, or simply watching the bobcat walking across the soccer field or the hawk perched on the big oak tree. It is to sit in a circle during advisory and practice not thinking about what you will say when it comes your turn. It is the right to pass and not participate. It is to create a safe space where students feel comfortable asking vulnerable questions. It is to nurture relationship based on mutual respect instead of authority. Most of us did not grow up in a place like Oak Grove, a place where students are honored for being themselves. By learning to listen with care, attention, and affection from a very young age, as our founder said, our students can bring a blessing to our shared world. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Our next speaker is Erin Gerken, the Parent Council Chair. She is mother to Vaughn in the 2nd grade and has a younger child who is not yet old enough for school. Erin has been supportive of the high school student council, helping with the winter market, the improvements to the wood shop, and our upcoming prom. Thank you, Erin. Welcome to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you all here. When I first heard the theme of the school year at Back to School Night, I thought, this is a good one for me. Listening with great care, attention, and affection. Often, when we listen, we're subconsciously more concerned about our response than of our understanding of what is being spoken. We tend to filter the words we're hearing through our own experiences, and we're just waiting for a chance to chime in, to share an opinion, an anecdote. And in my case, we might interrupt and try to finish the other person's sentence. As a parent, I'm really grateful to be in a school that adopts themes each year that invite inquiry and offer, if we choose to engage with it, an opportunity for growth. As this school year has unfolded, I have tried to remember this theme as a reflection in my parenting. With the fast world all around us, it is often not easy to pause and truly listen, especially to children, and especially if you have a child like mine who really needs to take his time to ask a question or share an idea. Listening without judgment, without assessment, is a courageous act. It challenges us to truly be present and to resist the comforts of our ego. Listening to our children in this way strengthens their trust in us and deepens our relationship. Knowing that Oak Grove's mission is to assist students in developing qualities like this gives me a sense of peace when I think about my son moving through his days here on campus. Of course, just like at home, it's not always perfect, but the intention and the effort of the school to be aware of and to be guided by these ideals is for me significant. There is something quite special about the Oak Grove community. I think many of us feel this. It's part of what has brought us here. The fact that we have all sought out this place in one way or another and actively made the choice for our children to be here creates a foundation for us, a commonality to exist in this environment together. Amongst our many differences, our points of views, and our varied experiences here at school, we all share that very important choice for our families to be here at Oak Grove. Today, we are gathering as a community in an effort to close the gap that exists in the school's yearly budget. It is the hope of the school to have 100% parent participation in the annual fundraising. Each of us here has our unique capacity and capability, or capacity and circumstance as it relates to financial giving. Be it on one or the other end of the spectrum or somewhere in between, your contribution today is a gesture in affirming your family's desire to be here and to uphold our side of the agreement as parents, not just to be served up an education, but to truly be in partnership. And speaking of walking the walk, it feels important to recognize that every single member of our staff and faculty have personally donated to the annual fund. This contribution is not a reward to the school for giving us a perfect experience. This is us actively engaging as individuals within our chosen community to reach our collective goals. I thank you all for listening, and I invite us all to join the staff and faculty to support Oak Grove in the continuation of operating in its integrity, its passion, and in its service to our children.
Thank you, Erin. Please welcome our head of school, Jodi Grass. I've known Jodi for nearly all of my life, and I had the pleasure of going to India with her this past January, as well as working alongside her in student council last year. She's one of the most genuine and caring people I know. Welcome, Jodi.
I thought T2 would be less emotional. Just always get you. In the first grade, I attended a school on a campus with another school for children with hearing impairments. The students from the other school had a separate entrance on the opposite side of campus, which is where their classrooms were located. Although we were on different ends of the campus, we did share playground and recess. I remember rushing to the playground to play with the children from the other school. We made huge channels in the sandbox, filled them with water to float broken sticks and leaves. We climbed the monkey bars and hung upside down. And when the sand and the blacktop were too hot, we would play under the tree of an enormous Palo Verde tree. On reflecting on these moments, I wondered how my first grade playmates and I were able to communicate, because I knew I didn't learn any sign language until I was much older. At some point, I asked my mom if she remembered, and she said, "Oh yeah, on the first day of school, you asked your teacher, Mrs. Geist, how do you say I love you in sign language?" After she showed you, she said, "Do you want to learn how to say anything else?" And I said, "Nope, that's enough." The teacher told my mom that I was the only one in my class to play with the kids from the other school. She said that they were as excited to play with me as I was with them. We would meet on the playground and quickly, and then play until the bell rang. Communication is so much more than words. You may have heard the saying that misunderstandings are the seeds of war. In college, I took a seminar called War, where we studied 300 combats. Our job was to identify the precise moment that war became inevitable, that there was no other choice. Through the course, we learned that there was not an exact moment, that war was never inevitable, but that instead it was almost always a miscommunication that served as the impetus for justifying the first strike. And not miscommunication in the largest sense of a diplomatic breakdown, differing viewpoints, religious, political, or cultural differences, but miscommunication in the specific, simply misunderstanding what they were trying to communicate, often to poor translation or faulty technological glitches. I asked you earlier to imagine a world where deep listening was commonplace in our businesses, in politics, and in our personal lives. What might transform in a world like that? What might transform in us? So how do we teach listening to children? At Oak Grove, first and foremost, we listen to them. We take time to hear what they have to say. We lean in. We look them in the eyes. We get down low when they're small. We listen to their words and their tone, and we observe them closely. Behavior is a powerful form of communication. We pay attention to what they don't say. We offer provocations, questions, and experiences that lead to ongoing, nuanced dialogues and discussions, where students practice speaking about their thoughts and feelings with a sense of agency. We approach our academic explorations from diverse angles, offering foundational academic tools that equip our students for deep investigative work, and then sharing that work through spoken and well-written and creatively expressed thoughts. We minimize competition, evaluative language, comparison, offering students time for self-reflection and a deepening self-knowledge. We neutralize authority and engage with one another as learners, setting the environment for psychological safety where students are more comfortable to ask clarifying questions or to challenge what they're hearing. We offer stillness and leisure and radical downtime, mindfulness practices, and silent walks. We spend our days on this expansive oak woodland, which serves as a backdrop for normalizing engagement with the natural world. I spend my days here out of a deep commitment to this school, a commitment to each and every one of our students, to the teachings of our founder, and to the possibility of a different way of living and learning. This, Krista, is my 18 fundraising tea, and I love this way of raising money because we simply tell you our story from the perspective of our students and our parents and our staff, and we ask you to consider supporting this small but mighty school. Your support will allow us to increase financial aid and funded scholarships for people who otherwise would not be able to afford to be here, to minimize the multiple hats our staff must wear, to expand opportunities for professional development, improve staff benefits, including health insurance for dependents, expanding classroom spaces while maintaining a restrained footprint. I'm asking you to give to Oak Grove to support our small school, and perhaps more than that, to donate because the world needs educational environments like this one. The world needs schools that support depth of learning with an anti-bias curriculum where children are seen and known, where adults and children ask meaningful questions together and individually without the limits of an answer, where listening to others and oneself with great care, attention, and affection is prioritized, and where functional knowledge is celebrated and delved into deeply while simultaneously knowledge from within. Oak Grove is not merely focused on preparing our students for their own singular futures, although we are doing that, and we are doing that well. We are preparing our students for the future that we share with all the Earth's inhabitants. Thank you for supporting Oak Grove, and thank you for being here today.